Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So Delicious Orie has hung up the gloves after one pro fight. He went the distance with his Bosnian opponent, Vilatek. And Grant Smith, Dalton Smith's dad, was in his corner. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was trying to get through to Delicious, saying, "You're showing your opponent too much respect. I don't want you to show him no respect." But to me, it looked like Delicious had the tools to hurt his opponent, but he was either reluctant to or didn't know how to use them to do so. But after that pro debut and the criticism he got, perhaps a dose of reality hit Delicious Orie. In the amateurs, you can just win. You don't have to blast nobody out. Just outpoint your opponent with the simple principle of hit and don't get hit. But in the pros, winning alone is not enough, especially if you're a big heavyweight. You sign up to Frank Warren, they want to see a clean, definitive conclusion to the contest. Delicious's debut was a sharp contrast to Anthony Joshua's, who Delicious looks up to. And AJ, from what I gather, has been a mentor to Delicious. In AJ's debut, he stopped Emmanuel Leo in the first round. In fact, nobody got past the third round until he fought Dillian White in his 15th fight. AJ couldn't do no wrong on the come up. They're big boots to follow. It's not just AJ. We're talking about the UK here. You got Tyson Fury, you got Daniel Dubois, you got Lennox Lewis, you got Frank Bruno, David Haye. They're huge shoes to fill, indeed. I'm pretty sure his decision to retire after one fight was made after that pro debut and the media getting onto him that it wasn't up to scratch. He probably knew then that at least in his own mind, he wasn't going to scale the heights of some of them names I just mentioned. I have a feeling Delicious turned pro, not so much because he wanted to, but there was an expectation for him to turn pro. He was getting a lot of headlines as an amateur. As it says here on the BBC website, the Briton once dubbed the next Anthony Joshua was tipped to fight for world honours in the coming years. Part of me believes he was trying to emulate AJ, who by all accounts sounded like he was a bit of an idol for Delicious. He's probably realising that he's got to find who he is. Can't be AJ Mark II. Now he's got to carve out his own niche in the world. Now he was eliminated from the Olympics last year in Paris, split decision loss, but he won the Commonwealth Games in 2022 and the European Games the year after. Then he turned pro with Frank Warren. And that's the thing, like the expectation is you have to turn pro. Frank Warren's got his checkbook out. Eddie Hearn had his checkbook out. He had his pick. So he's went through the motions and now he's realised this ain't for him. I remember in the press conference for his pro debut, he was pondering how he was going to engage with potential opponents. That he wasn't going to trash talk, he was going to be himself. And nothing wrong with that, but you can perhaps see this was never going to be an easy transition. He looked out of place in the press conference. He looked out of place. This is a man who has first-class honours degrees in economics and management. And he said, out of respect for the sport and myself, it's time to step away with honesty. He added, every fighter knows you need a deep love for the craft to reach the top, and without it, there's no path forward. And the pros is very cynical because it's sports/business. Now, amateur boxing, with all the sponsorship and endorsements, is business as well, but it's not as pronounced as pro boxing. You do hear stories where a lot of amateur boxers turn pro and the passion and the fun they derived from pugilism just disappeared.
Jared Anderson.
Boxing.
Does it feel like a job to you, or is there like
100%,
genuine?
100%, 1,000%. So I'm willing to do what I have to do in order to provide, but it's a job.
When did it start feeling like a job to you?
The day I turned pro.
The day you turned pro.
Couldn't have been an easy decision for Delicious Orie to pack it up like that. A lot of pressures being a young boxer. You go back to 2009 and Darren Sutherland, Olympic bronze medalist, a highly touted amateur, along with the likes of James DeGale, George Groves, Billy Joe Saunders, was expected to do big things. Signed with Frank Maloney, had 3 fights, homesickness, travelling back and forth from Ireland to London, and he took his life at the same age as Delicious is now, 27. And it's a different time, it is what it is. There's some all-time great boxers from yesteryear who, if they had different options, they may have never pursued a pro career. Sugar Ray Robinson, considered the GOAT by most historians, he let us know he had no love for boxing.
I've never enjoyed boxing. It's just a business with me, and
I know I've never enjoyed. It's just a business with me, and I know I've never enjoyed.
We had Delicious Orie, started off his career, God knows what he's doing now. What gym are you in, actually?
I'm in York Legions. I've sparred Delicious.
Okay,
well, yeah.
Okay. And he had that pressure. The only reason why I'm speaking about him, he's come from obviously GB, but he went to the Olympics. I get that. Older than you as well. I spoke to him before and post-fight, and he had these expectations. After he finished the fight, he just wasn't happy.
No.
You could see that, and it's on interviews, it's everywhere, it's all over the internet. Do you take anything from like new professionals and their experiences and try and learn from mistakes that you haven't made yet, if that makes sense?
Yeah, like I see the mistakes they make and try not to do them, but at the same time I understand he's got pressure on him. He's gone to the Olympics, you know, he's like the golden boy. That pressure takes its toll, so I almost think to myself, don't put pressure on yourself, just go in there, enjoy yourself. You're young, you're only going to get one debut, so I won't swear, but what everyone else says, just ignore them all.
But look, it's a one in, one out system basically. And that's Leo Atang talking to October Red. He sparred with Delicious Orie. Leo is 18. He debuts on July the 5th on the undercard of Catterall versus Harlem Eubank. And he seems like he's taking it in his stride more than Delicious Orie. But there's a lot of pressure on Leo. But here's the thing, yeah? There's a lot of kids, boxers should I say, I'm not calling them kids. There's a lot of young boxers who are looking at Delicious Orie right now, thinking, you're signed to Frank Warren, and you want to give up after one fight? Because they can't fathom that for nothing. You know how much kids out there are really hungry to fight on a Matchroom or Queensbury promotion? Hungry. Leo Atang don't want to hang about any amateurs. He wants to learn on the job. That's what he told October Red. 18 years of age. And it looks to me like Eddie is looking at the Frank Warren blueprint. He signed Moses at 18, didn't he? And Daniel Dubois at 19. Is that the way to go? Has Eddie made the right decision? Has Leo made the right decision? And I've heard a lot of theories recently where a lot of people are convinced you just pick up bad habits staying too long amateur. But then again, look at the likes of Lomachenko or Rigondeaux. Technically, they're two of the best in recent history. At the same time, there's a lot of people who've got extensive amateur careers who don't do shit as pro. The interview's in the description box. And Leo seems to have it all worked out. As you should when you're 18. You should be looking to conquer the world.
What the f***? I thought I conquered the world.
I heard of boxing is not a pretty business for the boxers, and also I was afraid of that. I didn't know how I would fare in the industry. So anyway, I just wanted to get a good job after winning the gold medal, and things happened that pushed me on into the pros, and I just was taking it one step at a time. I didn't know that I would go as far as I went, though.
That's Michael Spinks, 1976 Olympic gold medalist at middleweight. He went on to become undisputed light heavyweight champion, and he went on to become lineal heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua sent Delicious Orie the Michael Spinks video as a message, advising him to take time before confirming his retirement. There's a lot of pressure turning pro. AJ had Lennox Lewis wanting the gig, Frank Warren wanted the gig, and he took his time.
This is Coogan Cassius, fly from London. We're at Trinity House here in Tower Hill for the announcement of this man here, Anthony Joshua, turning pro finally. What's taking so long, brother?
Things take time. Obviously, a contract for the next 3 years in my career. And I wanted to make sure that it's a contract that we never have to look at again. We can move on and have a steady route to success.
How many offers did you have aside from Maxim? A ballpark figure?
Round it off to 10.
10?
Yeah, 8 to 10.
And how many were in this country?
3.
The other 7 or so were from abroad?
Yeah, Europe, America.
We talk about some other breaking news that happened earlier today. How about Delicious Orie, who's just 1-0 now as a pro fighter? There was a big to-do about who he would sign with. He represented Team GB at the 2024 Games in Paris. There was some talk of maybe going the WWE route. There was some talk that he would sign with other promotional outfits. He ended up signing with Queensberry, had a successful debut. Out of nowhere, announces that he is retiring from boxing. One of the most shocking retirements in the history of the sport. After much reflection, he wrote, I've decided to hang up my gloves and retire from boxing to follow up on my degree and enter the corporate world. Initially, when I heard this, I thought perhaps, all right, maybe he's going back to the WWE route.
He's going to do WWE, they're saying here. He was offered a contract to wrestle. Why is everyone so shocked that a young man who has the options, and no doubt now, contacts to follow up his degree, and enter the corporate world and make a stack load of money without getting his brains punched in. His decision was made easier just by the fact that he had other options, academically.
Delicious Orie. There's two ways you could look at it. One, it's a quick decision. He had a professional debut that he got a lot of criticism for and didn't want to do it anymore. I think AJ posted saying, "Look, you're a great fighter, take your time." But on the other hand, you could say it was a very honest decision. When I had a meeting with him, I didn't feel that his heart wasn't in it. You know, he was talking about WWE, he was talking about acting, he was talking about all this, other stuff and education. And it made me think, how much does he love the sport? The sport is a very tough sport. It's a very dangerous sport. And you've got to be obsessed with the sport. And that's the same with any job. If you want to be the best at it, you've got to be obsessed with it. And you've got to love boxing. And he clearly didn't love boxing. It's not a sport to be in if your heart's not in it, even at that level.
Delicious just got a lot of options. Acting, education, WWE, the corporate world. It's not that he doesn't love boxing. He's just got so much other stuff that he wants to try his hand at.
Jared Anderson, do you love boxing?
I'm going to say it to you how I said it to the last person I interviewed yesterday. You can love a girl and not be in love with her. You get what I'm saying? So I love boxing, but I'm not in love with boxing.
Jared don't want to box. He's here for the money. If he can get financial stability before a world title, he's out. He was talking about if he could be a YouTube influencer, that'd be another angle where he could achieve financial security. And it's just a sign of the times, man. Like back in the day, you couldn't diversify your portfolio like that. I'll be a YouTuber, I'll be an actor, I'll do this, I'll do that. Back then, like, only rich people's kids were going to university. And if you was good at boxing, a talent from the amateurs, more than likely, you're going to turn pro. For the most part, your job was your job for life. People didn't switch jobs and switch careers like that, like they attempt to these days. And it's made to seem like this luxury that we have. But most people who jump around from one job to another job are not successful. And that's not to say that you cannot update your skills and do something else. But there has to be some stability at some stage in something you do in terms of a job or career. When Tommy Farr was a young boy, I'm guessing in the 30s, late 20s, he used to work in the coal mines. They'd send him in the gaps where the adults couldn't fit, in the pit. When he fought Joe Louis said, "What's up with all the scars?" And he said, "I've been fighting tigers," made a joke of it. But he accumulated all the scars from working in the coal mines. But his options were coal mines or boxing ring. And in them antiquated work conditions back then, trust me, you'd put on the boxing gloves before you work in a coal mine, especially if you have a talent for it like Tommy Farr had. If Delicious was around when Tommy Farr was fighting, he'd be grateful to get a contract with a top boxing promoter, let alone quit after one fight. He'd be trying so hard at his boxing, he'd probably end up a British title contender, maybe a British champion, maybe a Euro challenger, world title challenger, etc. He'd be pushing it to the limit. Jared and Delicious are products of the modern day world where they believe they can do so much more than just box. So stories like Delicious calling it a day after one pro fight shouldn't really come as a surprise. I read that Jared Anderson planned to finish college, but he got some girl pregnant and he had a daughter, and that's when he turned pro. And I wouldn't have thought he's got any degrees in business management and economics like Delicious Orie. So he doesn't have that option to leave the game like that, at least not yet. Jared's been off the pace since he broke down when he was training with Roy Jones prepping for Charles Martin. He was lackluster in that fight. He was lackluster against the Belgian fighter he fought after that. Then he got stopped by Martin Bacoli. Had another fight after that. Got the W, but he didn't look like the next great American heavyweight by any means. You know what troubles me with the Jared Anderson story? Is in 2025, this kid is boxing out of financial necessity. Now, everybody works for financial necessity, but boxing is different. The intention of boxing, pro boxing anyway, one of the intentions is to render your opponent unconscious. Yeah, we can run with the narrative that is to beat my opponent in a sporting manner and not to hurt him. But the audiences want knockouts. The networks want knockouts. The media want knockouts. The fans want knockouts. And to me it looks like a cry for help. Help me. I'm stuck being a boxer because of the financial necessity to feed my daughter. Probably other family members, help his mother. Because for one, it kind of cripples the whole argument to support the existence of boxing, that boxing takes young men off the street and gives them direction and structure for all them other platitudes. But unless Jarrett hits the lottery, what else can he do with his level of education where he can earn the type of purse he earned against Martin Bacoli? I don't know what that was, but it's a lot more than I and some of you listening to the video have ever seen. I guarantee that. Look at Pacquiao playing politics in the impoverished setting of the Philippines and whatever he's doing to become president, and whoever else he's got to support over there has ate through the vast fortunes he's earned in the boxing ring. And at age 46, despite losing his last fight some 4 years ago or whatever it was, hasn't won a fight for 6 years. Has got a ranking by the WBC to fight Mario Barrios for their title. The difference between Manny and Jared is Manny is only too willing to participate in this world title fight, while Jared, I don't know if I like what I see. The way his boxing career seems to have him in this state of turmoil. I love boxing. This has been one of the best periods that I've witnessed as a boxing fan. But I'd be lying to myself, and so would a lot of you listening to the video, if deep down you're not thinking what I'm thinking, that Delicious Orie probably made the wisest decision he's going to make in his life.
Boxing is the swill barrel of sports. It's a dirty racket in many instances, and that's the way it's going to be.
Mr. Sean McComb, who's also fighting on that Galway card, a very exciting fighter in a very exciting division. Are you looking forward to Galway as much as we are?
Yeah, look, listen, I've been out of the ring a year now, and Izzy's given me an opportunity now to get back and get the ball rolling. I do still believe I'll be world champion, and Galway, 28th of June, I'm ready to go.
Spare a thought for Sean McComb. He returns to action 28th of June against a to-be-announced in Galway. This will be on a GBM show with Isra Asif. But Sean McComb hasn't managed to get a fight since April last year, when in my opinion he was robbed against Arnold Barboza on that Barclays Centre card, headlined by Devin and Ryan. Neither the promoters, the sanctioning bodies, or the media really did shit for Sean, and what was a bad decision. You're watching the likes of Barboza going to fight for world titles. And GBM do some good shows. They do some very good shows, but Sean should be on Matchroom. He should be on Queensbury. He should be on Golden Boy shows. Top rank shows. That's where he should be. But you can't cry over spilt milk. Sean McComb did a way better job with Barboza than Tio Fimo Lopez did. I'll tell you that now. I think I'm harbouring just as much resentment at that result as Sean McComb, because I remember watching the fight. No disrespect to Shaka and Pitters, but how has Sean ended up on the undercard to Shakan and Bradley Rare for the EBU European Light Heavyweight title on the GBM card?
Without no justice, there'll be no peace.
Yeah. Delicious Orie is probably looking at people like Sean McComb and all the other boxers who are getting jerked in the industry, saying it's a mug's game, buddy. I'm out of here.
Boxing beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.